I asked my viewers and over 40% have not defeated Melania. So, here are 7 tips to help you take out the hardest boss in Elden Ring. Starting off with one tip I have not heard anyone else talk about: don't skip the cutscene. After dropping Melania to 0 HP, she will enter the second phase after a cutscene, and that cutscene will feature the player. However, the player featured will not always be the host. The cutscene will always show the player that Melania is currently targeting for her next attack. That means anytime you summon people to help you, if you watch the cutscene and learn which player is going to be attacked next, you will gain a tactical advantage. Maybe you use this time to use ranged attacks or spells. Or maybe this is extra time that you can spend buffing your character for phase 2. Or maybe you don't have anything in mind, in which case I would recommend taking the time to toss in a few volcano pots, which deal a decent chunk of fire damage over a few seconds. At the very least, this will tell you which teammate you need to get away from. Keep in mind that she can and will change targets back if you're standing idle though, so don't do that. Now this is not an absolute, but I recommend fighting Melania alone, because one of her biggest weaknesses is that she has low poise. In fact, when you're fighting her alone and her poise is at its lowest, in the current patch there is an Ash of War that on top of dealing fire damage can break her stance in just 2 castings of it. And you can follow that up with a critical strike. Even better, anytime you do land a critical strike on Melania, she has to get up, and when she does, you can consistently follow that up with a fully charged heavy attack. My personal favorite weapon for Melania is the Executioner's Great Axe. Although Miss Gjord is probably the weapon that comes to mind for having the best critical attack boost, the Executioner's Great Axe is, well, a great axe, and it hits hard on top of getting a crit boost of its own. After factoring in the immediate follow-up attack after the critical strike, the Executioner's Great Axe just does a ton of damage in a short amount of time. I can talk about it and other great builds for Melania more, but that is a topic for another day. Now, when we talk about Melania's weaknesses, bleed and fire both come to mind, and yes, they are her most glaring weaknesses, but they are far from her only weaknesses. You should actually consider the battlefield itself. There is a pool of water in the center, and while she is in that area, her weakness of fire is more or less gone, replaced by a weakness to lightning. And unless I'm wrong, I believe that this resistance is based solely on where she is on the map, and that her altitude has no bearing on the resistance. And that distinction will matter a lot to a lot of lightning builds who can attack her in midair. Just do so with caution. Now, typically, ranged attackers in Elden Ring stay back, dealing massive damage, while the melee fighters deal with the brunt of enemy attacks. But for Melania, this can actually be reversed. You see, Melania has a bit of a quirk, where she will actively switch over to attack those fighting from range, even if there is a target closer to her. This means you can use a well-timed spell or arrow to draw her away from a pressured teammate. And yes, this can work in the middle of her signature waterfowl dance. Just make sure you can dodge it. This waterfowl dance is by far her most dangerous attack sequence. The best way to dodge it is actually to run away for the first 2 rounds, and then roll into her for the 3rd. But if you're too close and running is not an option, then you need to run into her each time and not away from her. The shape of the attack is designed specifically to punish those who will roll away from it. The other attack that can easily one-shot you is her Scarlet Oenia, and though you can time out the rolls normally, you can also just run up to her and run away whenever the spacing is right, such as whenever you fight her alone. As for this attack, I don't actually know how to dodge this consistently, but she doesn't actually have a good way to punish a guard break, so I like holding up my shield or my great axe and just walking backwards and diagonally. So if you know a more consistent method for this, comment below, and if it's consistent enough, I'll pin you. The final tip, in my opinion, is the most important. Be aggressive. Melania is a boss that is custom built for attrition, and each of her attacks heal her up a bit to the point where long battles often end up with her walking away completely unscathed. You are going to want to take her down fast, and if you're staggering her and knocking her back, those are times she cannot use her strongest attacks. There are a ton of people who think that the key to beating Melania is to get lucky with the RNG so that she doesn't get to use her waterfowl attack very often. But in reality, a lot of those fights they are winning not because of RNG, but because the players are actually giving Melania fewer opportunities to wipe them out. Bring the fight to her and keep trying. Because if you have the patience to reach the end and like this video, you have the tenacity to defeat Elden Ring's most dangerous boss. If this video helped you out, and especially if you beat Melania after watching this video, come back and leave a comment telling us how it went.